Welcome back, everyone. Tonight we're diving into a realm that many of us fear, yet find ourselves strangely drawn to, the world of the supernatural. These aren't your typical campfire tales. These are true accounts from people who have experienced things they simply cannot explain. Whether you're a skeptic or a firm believer, there's something about a quiet house at night that makes even the bravest soul look twice at a shadow. We'll be walking through 3 distinct stories today, moving through time as these witnesses recount the moments their lives were forever changed by the unseen. So grab a warm blanket, dim the lights, and let's get started.
Our first story takes us back to 1998, to a small suburban home in Ohio. A young man named David had just moved into his first apartment. It was a charming, older building with high ceilings and creaky floorboards. At first, everything seemed normal, but within weeks, the atmosphere changed. It started with the feeling of being watched. You know that prickle on the back of your neck? David felt it every time he walked down the long, narrow hallway connecting his bedroom to the kitchen. He tried to brush it off as new apartment nerves, but the feeling only intensified as the sun began to set each evening.
One rainy Tuesday night, David was heading to the kitchen for a glass of water. As he reached the midpoint of the hallway, the air temperature plummeted. He could see his own breath misting in front of him. That's when he saw it. A tall, dark silhouette standing perfectly still against the far wall. It wasn't a shadow cast by furniture. It was a solid, 3-dimensional void that seemed to absorb the little light coming from the street lamp outside. David froze, his heart hammering against his ribs. The figure didn't move, didn't breathe. It just existed there, an impossible presence in his private sanctuary. He blinked, and in that split second, it was gone.
David never saw the figure so clearly again, but the weight of that encounter stayed with him. He moved out just 3 months later, unable to shake the feeling that he was sharing his home with something that didn't belong to our world. He later found out that the previous tenant had also broken their lease early for unspecified reasons. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many homes hold on to the echoes of those who came before? Some say shadows are just tricks of the light, but for David, that void was as real as the floor beneath his feet. It was his first real brush with the unknown.
Moving forward to 2012, we find ourselves in the rugged countryside of North Yorkshire, England. Sarah and her husband had purchased a centuries-old farmhouse with plans to renovate it. It was a dream project, but the house had other ideas. Almost immediately, they began hearing sounds coming from the attic, soft, rhythmic thumping, like someone was pacing back and forth. They checked for rodents, for loose tiles, for wind catching the eaves, but found nothing. The attic was empty, save for layers of dust and a single heavy wooden trunk that sat in the very center of the room, untouched for decades. Driven by curiosity and a bit of frustration, Sarah decided to open the trunk. Inside, she found old journals, yellowed photographs, and a small hand-carved music box. That night, the pacing stopped, but it was replaced by something much more unsettling. As she lay in bed, Sarah heard a faint melodic tinkling coming from above. It was the music box. She knew she had left it closed inside the trunk. She nudged her husband, but he was fast asleep. Summoning her courage, she grabbed a flashlight and climbed the stairs to the attic. The door, which she distinctly remembered locking, was standing wide open, swaying slightly on its hinges. As Sarah stepped into the attic, the music box stopped abruptly. The silence that followed was heavy and suffocating. Then she heard it, a whisper, so close to her ear that she felt the cold air move. It was a woman's voice, soft and pleading, saying just one word: "Stay." Sarah didn't wait. She bolted back to her room and locked the door. The next morning, they found the music box sitting on the kitchen table, fully wound and playing its mournful tune. They didn't stay to finish the renovations. Some dreams are better left unbuilt, especially when the current residents aren't ready to let go of their past. Our final story brings us to the present day, on a lonely stretch of highway in the Nevada desert. Mark was driving cross-country, his only company being the hum of the engine and the late-night radio. The desert at night is a beautiful but haunting place where the horizon disappears into an infinite blackness. Mark was exhausted, pushing himself to reach the next rest stop when he saw a figure standing by the side of the road. It was a woman in a pale blue dress, her arm outstretched as if hitching a ride. In the middle of nowhere, with no car in sight, Mark felt a surge of concern and slowed down. He pulled over a few yards ahead of her. As he looked in his rearview mirror to see her approaching, he noticed something strange. Her movement was fluid, almost gliding, and her dress seemed to glow faintly against the desert floor. When she reached the passenger window, he rolled it down. She looked remarkably young, with eyes that seemed to hold a deep, ancient sadness. She asked if he was headed toward the old mining town about 20 miles north. Mark agreed to take her. She sat in the back seat, and for the next 15 minutes, the car was filled with an intense, floral scent of lilies, despite the dry desert air. They didn't speak much. Mark felt a strange calm wash over him, a sharp contrast to his previous fatigue. When they reached the turnoff for the mining town, he slowed down to ask for more specific directions. He looked back to talk to her, but the seat was empty. The scent of lilies was still there, thick and sweet, but the woman was gone. There was no way she could have jumped out while the car was moving at 60 miles per hour. Mark pulled over, his hand shaking, and checked the back seat. All he found was a small silver locket resting on the upholstery, dated 1944. She had vanished as quickly as a dream. Why are we so fascinated by these stories? Perhaps it's because they remind us that the world is much larger and more mysterious than our daily routines suggest. These encounters, the shadow in the hall, the whisper in the attic, the hitchhiker in the desert, all point to a thin veil between what we know and what we fear. For David, Sarah, and Mark, the paranormal isn't just a movie trope, it's a part of their history. It's a reminder that even in our modern, brightly lit world, there are corners where the darkness still holds secrets. We're all just travelers passing through, sometimes crossing paths with those who never left.
Thank you for joining me tonight for these chilling tales. I hope they gave you a few goosebumps and perhaps a new perspective on the things that go bump in the night. If you've ever had a paranormal experience of your own, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend who loves a good scare. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. Stay safe out there, keep your lights on, and I'll see you in the next one.